Have you ever met someone and within a few minutes had the strange feeling that you had known them for years, as if the soul recognized something even before the mind understood it? It's not coincidence, it's connection. We live in an age where touch is fast, but the bond is shallow, and even with thousands of faces just a click away, most people still feel profoundly alone. According to the World Health Organization, more than 280 million people live with depression, many of them within relationships. But there is a kind of encounter that changes everything, a type of connection that doesn't depend on status, appearance, or algorithms. When you meet someone who's made for you, there's an internal silence that confirms, this is it. Carl Jung called it a meeting of souls, where the unconscious is reflected in the other. And this has nothing to do with fairy tales. It has to do with self-knowledge, with emotional scars, with the way certain encounters awaken us, challenge us, and heal us. As Plato said, each of us is half an orange, and is always looking for the other half to feel complete. In this video, we'll explore how to know if someone is really made for you. Not by pretty words or empty promises, but by deep, almost invisible signs that the soul understands before any logic. Stay until the end, because in the last chapter, you'll discover the inner silence that reveals this true encounter. How many times have you been in company and yet still felt empty? You're next to someone, you talk, you laugh, maybe you even share a bed, but deep down you feel that something is missing. This feeling is more common than you might think, and it has nothing to do with ingratitude. It has to do with depth. We live in a world where relationships are becoming faster and faster, and emotional depth seems to have given way to practicality. The logic is, if it's working, why complicate it? But the soul is not pragmatic. It longs for something more, something that touches the invisible parts of our existence. Carl Jung said that every human being carries within them a journey of individuation, a path to becoming who they really are. And this journey often shows us that it's not just any kind of relationship that completes us. We don't just seek companionship, we seek belonging. Take a simple example. Imagine a couple who get on well, don't fight, go out for dinner at weekends. Everything seems right, but one of them feels that the conversation isn't flowing, that there's an invisible boundary between them. The feeling is of being with someone, but not in someone. This silent discomfort is the subtlest sign that perhaps that person isn't right for you. And that's not selfishness, it's emotional honesty. True relationships go beyond living together. They require a meeting of the soul. Jung believed that this feeling that something is missing comes from the unconscious, trying to guide us beyond the surface. The truth is that what is often missing is not the other. It is the encounter with ourselves through the other. As Nietzsche said, life without music would be a mistake, and perhaps a relationship without a soul is too. The first step, therefore, is not to find someone. It's realizing that you deserve more than lukewarm connections. You deserve presence. You deserve someone who, when they look you in the eye, makes you feel completely seen. Have you ever fallen in love with someone and sometime later couldn't understand how it happened? As if that person had an inexplicable magnetism, a silent force that pulled you in effortlessly. That's not chance. It's unconscious. Carl Jung revealed something powerful to us. Inside every man is the unconscious image of the feminine, the anima, and inside every woman, the unconscious image of the masculine, the animus. These internal figures, shaped by our experiences, traumas, and desires, act as invisible filters. It is through them that we choose, almost without realizing it, who we are going to be attracted to. In other words, it's often not us who choose. It's the unconscious that decides for us. Imagine a man who grew up seeing his mother always silent, submissive, and emotionally distant. Without realizing it, he may be attracted to cold or distant women because his unconscious associates this with the ideal feminine. It sounds strange, but it's common. That's why there are cases in which we feel complete with someone who seems wrong to everyone around them. Not because that person is actually ideal, but because they activate something inside, an ancestral image, an emotional memory. That's where the danger and the beauty lies. The anima and animus are not enemies. They are bridges. When we recognize these forces within us, we begin to understand that many of our intense passions are actually projections. We don't love the other person. We love what they awaken in us. It's as if the other person was showing us a mirror, reflecting parts of our soul that were dormant. This explains why certain people, even without doing anything great, have a devastating or magical impact on our lives. Jung said that these inner images are essential for spiritual growth. They are invitations to delve deeper into one's own psyche. When we meet someone who touches us on this level, it's not just attraction, it's recognition. As the philosopher Pascal said, the heart has reasons that reason itself does not know. So the next time you feel an intense connection with someone, ask yourself, is it this person, or is it what they awaken in me? Have you ever found yourself thinking, why do I always fall for the wrong guy? Or, why does this person move me so much, even though they haven't done anything much? The answer isn't outside, it's inside. Carl Jung explained that we often fall in love not with the person themselves, but with the image we project onto them. This means that the other person becomes a canvas on which we unconsciously place our desires, needs, and fantasies. We don't see the other person as they are. We see what we want or need to see. Imagine someone who always felt invisible in childhood. When they meet someone who pays attention to small details, who listens with their heart, this attention has a disproportionate impact. The unconscious interprets it as something magical. But in reality, it's not magic. It's a recognition of an old pain being accepted. Our unconscious is wise, but it is also blind. It seeks to heal our wounds, even if this leads us into difficult relationships. That's why we are often attracted to people who challenge us, who take us out of our comfort zone, who touch us right where it hurts. They are not villains. They are mirrors. It's important to understand, those who reveal us transform us. The relationships that move us the most are the ones that show us parts of ourselves that were hidden, our shadows, our weaknesses, but also our dormant gifts. So every time you feel that someone is stripping you bare emotionally, stop and think, what is this person revealing about you that you yourself had forgotten? Of course, not every revelation comes in the form of pain. Sometimes it's the other way around. Someone comes along and makes us feel peace, security, and freedom. And there too, something is being revealed. Perhaps that we are worthy of calm love. Perhaps we deserve light relationships. As Socrates said, know yourself and you will know the universe and the gods. Because the true encounter with the other is always, first and foremost, a reunion with yourself. In a world where everything seems fleeting, how do you know if someone is meant to stay? This is the silent question that accompanies most people looking for true love, and the answer lies in the invisible details, much more than in words or promises. Carl Jung believed that the true encounter between two people doesn't happen on the surface. It happens when their souls recognize each other in the silence. But how does this manifest itself in everyday life? First sign, you don't have to hide. When someone is made for you, there is room to be who you are, with your flaws, your crises, your silences. There's no constant fear of judgment. The relationship becomes a safe place where there is no need to represent. Second sign, you grow together. True relationships don't just comfort, they awaken. The right person is not the one who stops you from falling, but the one who helps you get up stronger. They encourage you to do your best without pressuring you to be perfect. Third sign, there is peace, even in chaos. Arguments happen, so do disagreements. But deep down, there's an emotional certainty that can't be shaken. You feel that, even on the bad days, you can count on this person. There are no games, no disappearing acts, no emotional blackmail. Fourth sign, you recognize each other in their gaze. It's not about understanding everything the other person says, but about feeling what they feel. When your eyes meet and there is silence, but your heart speaks, and you listen, and finally, you feel that you are exactly where you should be, without having to prove anything, without having to chase attention. It's as if the soul can finally rest. The philosopher Rumi said, The soul finds in the other what was lacking in itself. But this only happens when we are willing to see, to listen, and above all, to stay. If you've experienced something like this, or are still looking for this kind of love, please comment below. What was the moment when you realized that someone was different? Let's open up this conversation together. How many times have you heard or thought, "If it hurts so much, it's because it's love"? This phrase, repeated like a romantic mantra, hides one of the most dangerous emotional traps, confusing intensity with destiny. It's natural for deep relationships to bring out intense emotions. But the problem begins when we believe that just because something is strong, difficult, or overwhelming, then it's a sign that it should last. It's not like that. Carl Jung warned, what attracts us the most is also what reveals our wounds the most. That's why we fall in love with those who activate our insecurities, our fears, our need for validation. And the intensity we feel may just be the soul crying out for healing, and not a call from destiny. Imagine someone who grew up in the midst of emotional instability, where love and pain went hand in hand. As an adult, this person tends to associate suffering with depth. So, when they live in a peaceful, stable, and respectful relationship, they feel something is missing. On the other hand, when they experience a relationship full of ups and downs, they feel that this is passion. But in reality, it's just a recognition of old pain. Therein lies the fatal error, believing that what hurts is truer than what soothes. But the soul doesn't need to bleed to love. True love doesn't hurt, it sets you free. Real relationships don't live on constant goodbyes, forced silences, or emotional games. They don't ask for absurd sacrifices or put you in a cycle of anxiety. They flow, albeit with imperfections. That's why it's essential to ask yourself, am I living something real, or am I attached to the drama? Does this intensity transform me or consume me? The truth is that when we're in front of someone who is made for us, intensity does exist, but it's light. It strengthens us, pushes us forward, and doesn't suck us under. Not every earthquake is a sign of construction. Sometimes it's just a warning that something needs to collapse. Perhaps the greatest mystery of true love lies not in external signs, but in an internal silence, a rare kind of peace that comes without explanation. And when it appears, you just know. It's not an uncontrolled euphoria. It's not that chill in your stomach that feels more like anxiety than desire. It's different. It's tranquility with presence. It's as if body and soul were saying in unison, "This is it. It's safe." Carl Jung believed that the true encounter with the other is only possible when we are in touch with ourselves. That's why perhaps the biggest sign that someone is right for you doesn't come from the outside, but from the way you feel inside the relationship. You realize that you don't have to run. You don't need to impress. Haste gives way to surrender, and doubt gives way to trust. Love there is simple, almost silent, but as deep as an underground river. And the most curious thing, when you meet this person, the questions disappear. Not because everything is solved, but because the peace they bring is greater than the confusion the world shouts. This person doesn't want to save you or complete you. They walk alongside you. They are a partner, not a crutch. They see who you are, not what you offer. And you, alongside them, discover parts of yourself that were dormant. Not by magic, but because there is room for them to flourish. This inner silence is the absence of fear. It's certainty without proof. It's love that doesn't need to shout to be heard. As Lao Tse said, love is of all passions the strongest, for it attacks simultaneously the head, the heart, and the senses. And when it's real, it doesn't generate noise. It generates silence, a full silence. A silence where you take a deep breath and think, now I can be me. If you've ever felt this, comment, "I've already loved" below. And if you haven't felt it yet, don't lose faith. A true encounter isn't forced, but it isn't hidden forever either. If this video touched something inside you, like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel. This helps us to continue producing profound reflections like this in a world that increasingly needs inner silence and true encounters. And if you felt that this content made sense in your journey, please consider leaving a support of any amount. Your help strengthens this work and allows more people to have access to content that heals, awakens, and transforms.